Going on, dudes and dudettes? So I wanted to go through a mock draft that I finally actually really liked for the LA Chargers for next season. Usually I don't like these mock drafts because they pick the wrong guys, but it's actually a pretty good lineup of guys and a lot of talented guys. So hopefully they'll all be available at the time. So I want to get into that real quick. And yes, it's for the LA Chargers. Don't mind Linda's penguin, it's just right there in the back. But yes, so I believe this was from Pro Football Focus, PFF, as they're mostly known for. They kind of go more by numbers than actual, like all stats and everything, instead of more about your talent. But at least to me, a lot of these guys are very talented as well and will work great for the Chargers, in my opinion. So to get things started off, they would go in the first round, they would pick an offensive tackle in Samuel Cosmi. He's out of University of Texas. Yes, I know I have my problems with Texas guys, but he is a very talented guy. If he would have came out this last season, he would have been at least selected in the first 2 to 3 rounds, I think, as well. But definitely going back, getting a little bit more familiar with that left tackle position will help him out a lot. And he definitely looks the part. He's very athletic, especially for his size. And it's definitely a position that the Chargers need, that they would have to address in the first round, left tackle, because if they technically got their quarterback of the future in Justin Herbert, who, at least in practices, has been looking pretty okay, at least to me, but I think they're still going to wait till later in the season to start him. That's just the way it's going to go with Anthony Lynn as the head coach. But definitely looking forward if Samuel Cosmi is there for them in the first round of 2021. Then in the second round, they go with the running back, very talented running back. I don't know if he'll be there, still available, but Travis Etienne has been one of my favorite running backs the past 3-4 years while he's been in college, and he's got a lot of experience coming out of Clemson. They've been playing in the biggest games so far. He's at least won one national championship that I can remember. At the second, I don't know if he was with Deshaun Watson or not. But yeah, he's just amazing, very athletic. He can get up and down the field. Once he gets that one cut and he gets wide open space, he's usually gone, as you can see in a lot of those highlights. So definitely really excited if the Chargers were able to get him, pair him up with Austin Eckler, because even right now, they paid Eckler that much money to be their starter, but he's been saying that he's been getting like 50-50, which is kind of weird, which is why I don't want them to sign Leonard Fournette, but I'll talk about that in another video. And then when it comes to the third round, they would actually go back to Clemson, according to PFF, and get Darion Kendrick. He's a cornerback from Clemson, so to finally get a little bit more youthful depth at that cornerback position for the Chargers, because Casey Hayward, Chris Harris Jr., who's most likely going to play nickel, who they recently signed, nickel and all that other stuff other than corner, but those two guys are up in age, and that's why I think the Chargers need to keep Desmond King. He's going into his final year. It's another guy they're going to have to pay pretty soon, along with Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry. But yeah, Kendrick, he had a lot of great plays, and definitely that big one right there that you saw. So he'll definitely be a good addition, especially pick in that third round if he survives that long. And then round number 4, they go back to the offensive line again. And it looks like he plays guard. His name is Zion Johnson out of Boston College. Now, and yeah, a lot of people might not know Boston College, but they've most recently had like one of the top running backs in the nation the past couple years with A.J. Dillon. And I'm pretty sure Johnson has been part of that success. Because Dillon had some crazy stats. That's why I wanted him on the Chargers, but of course he has to end up with Green Bay. But yes, he looks like a pretty good, nimble guy, especially for a guard. They do a lot of like counter action and different types of blocking other than traditional blocking, and he looks like he can move pretty well with his feet. So I think he'd be a great addition for the Chargers to add some more depth, because they have some guys. They had Trey Turner, they made a trade for, but he looks like he's getting up there in age, and then just some of their other guys haven't really hit like Forrest Lamp. So we'll just have to wait and see. But Zion Johnson would be a good addition right there in the 4th round. And then they actually go, according to PFF, tight end at round number 5 with Brant Kuithe. He's a tight end out of Utah. I know him very well because Utah plays USC, and every time he always seems to have a pretty good game against USC. He's pretty athletic, and I know when you go to Utah, you have to block very well because they always have some good running backs there. So I'm pretty sure he's a great blocker as well, which will help out the offense. Obviously I don't have those plays isolated, but he's made some great couple catches while he's been there. I just think if they're gonna move on from Hunter Henry, if he's gonna ask too much, and I think they should probably move on from Hunter Henry just because of the injury history, in my opinion. That's why I would prefer them to trade him during the 2020 season. But if you could get a guy like Brant Kuithe in the 5th round, I think that's a big time steal. He probably won't be available around then, but I think that's a great steal according to PFF right there in the 5th round, and he could definitely be a great asset. He could be your number 1, number 2 guy going into that 2021 season right away. And then in the 6th round, they go on defense again, getting a safety to add some more depth, getting Ashari Crosswell from ASU. Now I remember this kid mostly because I was trying to get him to go to USC, and I always thought he could fit very well with the Trojans. And of course he went to Arizona State because one of his ex-high school coaches was on that staff, which didn't mind at all. But I mean, whenever I've seen him play against USC, I don't think I've really seen him really have that many big plays or stats. But looking at the highlights and everything, it does look like he's very productive, and he could lay the wood on some of these guys as well. So definitely like what I see. Maybe he just needs some better coverage skills, which is why he's getting picked this late. But Chargers have a lot of moving pieces when it comes to their safety position, especially now that Derwin James is going to be out most likely for the 2020 season, which sucks. But adding depth there will definitely help going into the future, when you especially don't know how productive or how healthy Derwin James is going to be in his future. And then in the 7th round, they go defensive end, getting Patrick Johnson at a Tulane. Never really heard much about him, but he is a senior going in there, and from what I saw, he looked really good, especially at defensive end. Yeah, he's going up against lesser competition, playing, I think that's the AAC or whatever conference that is, but yeah, he looks pretty good. That's how he should look if he's that talented of a player. He should be dominating those guys, in my opinion. So overall, it looks really good for the Chargers when it comes to PFF selections. Definitely liked a lot of those guys. Hopefully we get a handful of them, and if this could go a perfect 7-for-7 draft with these guys, I'd be very happy too. I obviously have other opinions of guys I like too, but as long as you pick half of who I like with your picks, then I'm definitely happy. So we'll see what the Chargers can do. It should be very interesting 2020 season, and we'll see how the 2021 draft shakes out early next year. So thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day.